Hi, love. Hi, hello, and welcome to Co-Creative Healing Journey. My name is Greta. I'm a healer, and I'm very excited to have you here because it's another energy paradigm video. I'm enjoying these tremendously. I'm enjoying making them, bringing through the messages, and so I'm excited to see what Spirit has for you. So these are videos where I bring through messages from Spirit with a deck, messages that are intended to support you, to inspire you, and that are specifically for those of us who are on a path of spiritual growth and awakening in this lifetime. So let's look and see what Spirit has for us this time around. I am using the Nature's Whispers deck by Hartfield, and I'm getting a lot of I said in this lifetime, and then I said this time around. So I'm getting a lot of soul level energies. Let's see what comes through. Yay! We have an overall energy of shift your energy. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Do you see this ginormous being here who is part flower, part bird, so many animals here? Let me see if we can get it to focus. If you can see it, there you go. There you go. Look at that beautiful imagery. Well, that's you in the message here, and that's a pretty good reflection or imagery of the soul. Now that's very interesting because I'm getting like, oh, discombobulated and things like that, and that's part of the message. It's like your soul is trying to come through in a stronger way, but things are getting garbled and things are getting mixed together. What I'm getting, especially with those pieces of the puzzle, is about the heart and heart consciousness. So a lot of people think that the heart has to do with emotions, and I used to think that I would talk about the heart and I would place the heart at the level of the emotion. So I would say the brain, and I would say the thoughts, that the mind is the thoughts and the thought patterns and our beliefs, and place the mind at that level. And then I would place the heart at the level of the emotions. And so for me, when people talked about the brain and mind, it was, or rather about the heart and mind, balancing the heart and mind, it was about balancing our thoughts and our emotions. And then as I was growing and evolving, Spirit showed me that the heart is actually something different. And I remember going like, wait, if the heart is in the emotions, and then I was thinking about the chakra system, like, why did I think it was the emotions? Why do we? But then I was like, well, if it's not the emotions, what is it? And it's that kind of shift. It's shift into a higher level of awareness, and awareness of self as soul, where you're taking in those different aspects. Because on the one hand, the heart isn't the emotions, but also the mind isn't just the thoughts. We have, again, the distinction in the chakra system, but also within astrology, there's the lower mind and then there's the higher mind. So Mercury is the lower mind, the rationality, logic, and then there's the higher mind where we find the soul, which is much more of the principles. It is the higher level discernment. It is this understanding the design of self, the design of life. It's that bigger picture understanding and level of comprehension that we find at the level of the soul. And so Spirit wants to talk to you about that. It's like shifting into a bigger level of awareness of self, but also I'm seeing it from the inside looking out. So it's also about applying that in your experience, because everything I'm talking about, the mind and the heart, they're really parts of us that allow us to make sense of reality just at different levels in different ways, right? Even we can feel something emotionally, we can think about it mentally, logically, and those are just different levels. So in the same way, the heart and the mind would be different levels. They just happen to be levels that I associate with the soul. To me, where we experience our soul is the level of the heart, and it's the level of the higher mind. So with that, we've got hope and happiness. Be spontaneous. And then we've got fresh approach. Beautiful, merging the two. And so hope and happiness is talking about the higher mind, the mind. And again, it's the same thing with intuition. Intuition to me is the voice of the soul, and intuition we find at the level of the higher mind and the level of the heart. But most people, I just saw a video about it the other day from a spiritual teacher, and he was talking about intuition in terms of premonitions and in terms of psychic gifts, but psychic gifts are of the human being, of the personality. Everybody on the planet has psychic gifts, but not everybody has soul awareness. So it's those kinds of things. And so this is spirit coming through and saying that your higher mind is the space from which you have a perspective that is hope and happiness. So when you look at the world, when you look at your life, when you're experiencing things from that higher level and seeing the higher, bigger perspective of life, and you're seeing hope and happiness, that's your higher mind. That's your intuition speaking to you. Your intuition doesn't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. Your soul doesn't care. Could not care less. But your soul does care about life and the nature of life. And so your soul is your intuition tells you all is well now and forever. Your soul, your intuition, your soul tells you that you are taken care of, that everything is going to work out. It shows you the principles. It tells you how the universe works, how life works and unfolds. It shows you a different level of causality that's not so linear, but that is much more of the self. So that the ultimate causality of the soul is the first, what I call the first cause. I am the cause of everything. I create my reality. It's those kinds of things that come from that higher level of awareness. And then with that, we have the heart, and the heart kicks in from that higher level of guidance. All is well. There's hope. There's happiness. I can have anything in life. I can be anything. I can go anywhere. That's the nature of me. That's the nature of reality. That's the nature of life. And then be spontaneous. And it's like you receive it like a gift, guidance, moving forward and acting upon it. Within spontaneity, there is this action from a soul-centered, heart-centered, inspired space. This is really beautiful energy. This is the guidance that comes in from your soul. And again, intuition guidance. Now, when something is of the intuition, it's intuitional in the larger sense. But there's a word that we use that's intuitive. It's when we do things without knowing why we do things. And so intuition is usually intuitive, meaning that when we get that guidance, it has a level at which it's intuitive. When we get that guidance at the level of the heart, we just act spontaneously. Like I was telling a story in the last video about how I was in a setting where I was seeing someone who was being, having the whole room turn against him essentially. And I was watching it and I felt my heart kick in and the energy rise, and I heard myself speak and I heard myself say something and connect with this person in that situation. And so it's instant. It's very, I think of it like sometimes, I remember when I really noticed it, I was walking down the stairs and I just had like reading and I just turned, walked to the desk and started laying out cards and did the reading. It was instantaneous. It was intuitive. There's an immediate expression. So there's no, if you're like, what is my intuition saying? It's not your intuition. It's not your intuition. And there's the need to be aware of this because the way Spirit is showing me, it's like there's a hole in the world. There's a shift in energy. There's a shift in energy where these parts of you are getting louder and louder and louder and much more accessible. And there's a way in which we can connect with that energy to live it out. But we have to understand it and we have to be able to place it. That's the only importance, because I remember Spirit was like, you have to tell them when I was being inspired to like start this channel and stuff. And I was like, what's the harm? What's the point? Let them think that it's the emotions. Let them think that, vibration is this, frequency is that. What's the point? I don't want to be the word police. What's the point? And Spirit said, well, if you don't know it, if you're not consciously aware of it, you're not consciously working it. And that was like, oh, yeah, that's not good. that I will get out of bed for. That I will do something about. That I will show up for. Because there's the potential for a fresh approach, a whole new way of life. And I'm passionate about living in this way for myself. But I'm also passionate about helping other people do that, live from that space. It's part of my makeup. It's part of how I am made to be. And you see, when you look at this, there's so much nature. I mean, it is the nature's whispers. But in the deck, there's all of these aspects of natures and animals. And when I see this card, I often think about how the fresh approach is to live according to one's nature. She's feeling, our vocabulary is not enough. Feeling is not the word for intuition, but she's intuiting. She's connected to herself, intuiting, listening, turning within, and gaining that wisdom, gaining that clarity, that truth from within. And then the approach is going to come. But it's about coming into a space where the approach is renewed enough for that to happen. It's very interesting. When I chose this deck, Intuition, it didn't feel like the right deck. It didn't feel the same way I get a hit and it's like, yes. And oftentimes when I draw the cards, I will see a card and I was like, oh, that's why I chose this deck, because there's just the perfect illustration, or just in the deck, in every single card, there's a perfect illustration. And I've not been getting this because I'm almost like, I feel like, am I stretching it? How is this the higher mind? And how is this, the heart? But it is through a very specific lens, through a very specific way of seeing it, through the nature energy, which also is divine feminine energy. It is the higher mind and it is the heart. When we are in the vocabulary, in the logic of an energy that is just showing up right now, that is just hinting at itself. It's like it's announcing itself. It's not quite here yet. Let's look at the next two cards, see what we have. Let love be your beacon. Well, there you go. And clear endeavor. Well, there you go. Again, we have the alignment. We have the higher mind. Let love be your beacon. And then we have the clear endeavor. The clarity of the will, the intention, the heart. Oh, a center of intention. And the intentionality coming through. Meaning, if you're watching this, beyond, the explaining how things work, like your spiritual, not just anatomy, but your spiritual, like physiology, how the parts interact with one another, how it works, and how their energy flows through a system. Beyond that, you're in for an experience. You're in for an energy shift right now that is coming in and bringing you into more of your soul consciousness. Essentially, it's a soul awakening, right? So very specifically, Spirit is describing, for whenever you're watching this, whenever this reading came to you, you're in a process of soul awakening that is causing you to awaken more of your higher mind and more of your heart, but in connection with one another. So you're becoming increasingly clear about the existence or the functioning, the presence of the universal force of love, a higher power. However you relate to the unconditionally loving energy that guides you, its presence, its workings, its truth is becoming clearer to you. You're intuiting it much more strongly. It's showing up in a much more present way. And with it comes guidance. So just as much as you can look at a situation, which is one of my favorite things, also what I do with cards, but to look at a situation also from a symbolic perspective, higher perspective, and see what the energy is doing. Like just today, I was recording posting one of the living guidance. And in the living guidance, it talks about this aspect of, what was it again? Let me check. Change what needs changing. And in the message, it was talking about, I'm just blanking. I keep blanking out. Wow. Am I off path? No, what? I just keep blanking out. Sorry, bear with me. But yeah, in the message, it's very odd. Wow. What is it? What is it? What is it? Why am I blanking out like this? I'm off path. I checked already. I'm not embarrassed because it's part of the reading, but it's part of the dynamic. Okay. I got it. It's about coming through. It's not the point isn't for me to tell you. It's not the point for me to follow through on my action. Fresh approach. I have an outcome I'm trying to reach. I'm trying to make my point. I'm trying to share this with you, right? But it's not about arriving at it. There's a fresh approach that is showing a higher level perspective and energy at play. And so if that alignment isn't there, you're going to start turning around in a circle. You're going to go into a circle, go into a circle, go into a circle until you understand what the energy is doing. I was not inspired to tell you that story to reach the outcome of telling the story. I might yet, but I haven't yet, and that's okay. But I was inspired to go that way so that I would arrive at this message. It's not linear. It's not even circular. It's a different kind of logic and a different level of unfolding. But once you understand that it is love that's leading you, love has led you into the situation, love has led you into the circumstance, love has led you into this dynamic. It's not a mistake. It's not, going into your patterns. Oh my God, here I am screwing up again. It's none of that. It's love at play. And if you get it, if you can see it from the higher perspective of the soul, from your higher mind, then the guidance, the clear endeavor will come in. Oh, it's part of the reading. Okay, so let me work it in the reading. Clear endeavor. I know exactly what to do. I know not to waver. I know not to, oh my God, stop the video or whatever else. It doesn't come from that space. The action that follows is the action that I'm guided to take. And the action that I'm guided to take will be necessarily coming from a place and understanding that I'm being led by love in this moment. In other words, it's alignment. It's alignment. There is a shift of energy happening right now to get you much more aligned with your soul consciousness. That it's a different logic. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different way. It's not even thought. Actually, it's a different way of conceiving of reality, of conceiving of what is happening here, of conceiving of even the relationship that we have. I'm going to take my time to figure this out. I'm going to sit here and bumble and blah, 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 because we understand each other, because I conceive of the relationship between you and I in a different way than I might on another channel where I would need to edit it and cut it out, or I would need to start over because people don't have time for that. That's not the space here. That's not how I conceive of relationships. That's not how I conceive of the relationship between you and I. And from what I'm getting back, that's not what is happening, right? So it's a different conception of what we can do, what we can allow ourselves to do, how we're going to be met, how it's going to work out in the grander scheme of things. It's a higher level of perception. And I just know why I found this deck, and I'm so touched. Now it came. That's why I chose this deck, because this is what you've been hoping for. This is what we've been hoping for at a deep, deep level. This is one of the promises of the awakening process realizing itself. I can awaken enough. I can remember enough. I can become myself enough that I can let go of the old, shift my energy, and come into a space where I'm just aligned with the flow of love and just moving in that flow. And yes, that is absolutely true. That's been my experience of late. I go like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I start to move towards it. But then the flow unfolds and it takes me into another place. And I was sitting there and I just go, I know this is not where I intended to be, but it's not wrong. And I'm not sure why. I don't quite know why, but it's perfect. But I'm not quite sure why. And then asking, and then being shown that the clear endeavor is the clarity here with that, like icicle, is to go with the vision, is to go from a space of clarity. And that is the third eye, a higher mind in the chakra system, to go with that clarity, that the clear endeavor is to follow love, is to follow the flow of love and the natural unfolding of how everything is coming together, is to be spontaneous. And the heart is crying out for it. I want to be more spontaneous. I want to maybe escape these kind of thought dominated processes and standard way of doing things that also are foreign to my spiritual nature. There is this big energy of breaking out of all of that and experiencing a much more natural, pure, clean, clear, simple, true way of being and flowing in the world that is also conceived of in a way where it's in alignment with the greater unfolding of the universe, the universal force of love, lighting the way forward. Wow. Wow. Okay. Takeaway. I feel like one last card. Wow. Did not see that message coming. This is the one. And that's just spirit flexing muscles. This is literally it. This is literally it. And it's this message like, you know, you go through the maze, the labyrinth. Still haven't told you the story. Might not, right? Probably won't. And that's okay. But again, there's this intuition. It's like, if you can see the beauty in the fact that I didn't tell you the story, if you can see the beauty in the fact that it didn't show up, it didn't happen the way you thought that it would or should or even could, and then see the beauty in it and how it did happen and how perfect it is and how amazing it is and how blessed you are, all of those things that intuition tells you, this is a blessing. I'm not quite sure why. I haven't quite mentally figured it out, but this is a blessing. I don't know how I feel about this, but I know I can conceive that it is a blessing. And then everything unfolds from that. And Spirit is saying that it's intuition when it is beautiful. It is intuition when it is uplifted. It is intuition when it is profound, when it just gives you that sense of hope and happiness that, again, is touching you so deeply, so profoundly inside, that you've been yearning for. But this hope and happiness for yourself, for life, and what you can be and do and create within it. And I'm being guided to tell you a story. I'll make it to this one. I once read this article on Medium. Again, I don't know why I'm reading this. I'm reading it. I'm like, why am I reading this? But it's stayed with me for years. It was this article about a woman who is talking about how she found out that her boyfriend was cheating. Because first she tells the story, there are a million red flags. And then she goes, one morning I woke up before him and my intuition told me to get up and look through his phone and find the proof. And I read that and I was like, it just didn't sit right with me. And then it's like, oh, that's not her intuition. It's not her intuition. It could be psychic awareness, absolutely, but that's not her intuition. Your intuition doesn't tell you to violate someone's privacy to corroborate what has been shown to you a million times over. You know, even without that, it doesn't tell you to overstep someone's boundaries. That's not your intuition. And so that's the message. Spirit is like, wash it off, wash it clean, come back into awaken into a higher level of experience of your own intuition, of your own inner voice. And see it for what it is. Know it for what it is. It truly lights you up. It's a conception of self and life that lights you up. That shows you endless roads, endless potentials, endless ways in which something is blessing you and benefiting you and can work for you and can work for others, can work for the world. It's a gift. It's always, every single time, intuition, when it comes in, that voice from within, it gifts us, it blesses us, always, always. That's what I say here. I share the wisdom that blesses me. It's wisdom that blesses you. There you go. So, love, that was the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for showing up and inspiring these messages to come forward, because that blessed me so much also. Wishing you all the best. May you be blessed always and in all ways. I do offer individual services. I offer intuitive readings. I've created some healing work from a whole range, from simple energy clearings to huge energy processes, healing processes where you could co-create powerful healing with spirit. If it speaks to you, it's in the description box. I am sending you lots of love, wishing you all the best, and I will be seeing you around. I'm loving this energy, so I'm just going to groove out in it, and I hope that it stays with you. May you be blessed always and in always, and so it is. Bye.